What's going on, Sooner Nation? So, in the wake of Seth Luttrell being fired, questions have been asked. Is Oklahoma going to lose any players to the portal? And can anybody potentially leave this class and decommit off the heels of losing your offensive coordinator? And while it might be too early to answer those questions, we have seen some recruits that want to step up and say, listen, I'm here to stay. I'm sticking it out with Oklahoma because I committed to the University of Oklahoma, which is something that Brent Venables talked about. So we're going to get into some portal rumors, recruiting details, updates, whatever you want to call them. It's late in the season. The staff ain't really doing much there, but we got some good updates, including one from Michael Pasusi. So, Coop, how are you doing today?
Happy Halloween. I mean, I feel like I owe everybody an apology. Like I've kind of gone MIA from the world for the past 2 weeks, and I don't want anybody to think it's because it's been rough on the field. But say in media, right now is where everybody's getting everything ready for next year, and so it's been pretty crazy. But man, we need this game. We needed this game, before the year. I think that you, myself, Jay, Jason at Hall of Fame, we were looking at the schedule, and the schedule set up so favorably. And little did we know that we were going to need just a get right game, not just a live scrimmage, but like a get right game. And so, man, I'm kind of intrigued by this week, and which is a lot to say because I think that before the season, I thought this might be a game I just didn't watch.
And now it's a game you watch intently because a lot of people are kind of asking the question, can Oklahoma beat Maine? And I think that's a bad question to ask because you have better talented athletes. You should be able to go out there and out-athlete Maine and win the game that way by a good margin. Now, I think the right questions to ask is, will our offense be able to move the ball against a Division II opponent, right? That's what you're really watching. If they can't move the ball against a Division II opponent, then this is where I think we're going to start off the topic. Is Oklahoma going to be concerned about portal losses? Is the staff going to encourage people to enter the portal? Because if you can't offensively move the ball against Maine, that is an indictment on a lot of the guys on this team. And at that point, you start asking the question, have guys actually quit? Because there's no reason why these wide receivers in our room aren't going to be able to beat these DBs, which is something that we've seen them have struggles with all season, like a Jaquez Petaway or a JJ Hester. Those guys are having problems creating separation. They should have no problems doing that this weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? So if they can't do that this weekend, then I think this is a game where you look at it and say, all right, you can't do it against the elite guys. You can't even do it against, these Division II teams that we should be able to beat by almost 75 points, right? Maybe you do need to look elsewhere. Maybe we need to go a different direction. And, the staff has those tough conversations at the end of every season, and they might be coming up, and they might be coming up for several players this year.
Yeah, it's what I'll say is Maine's going to come in here with a lot more belief that they can win than when they saw the schedule pop out this year. They're going to have some belief, and if you let them stick around or you keep them interested, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's 100% chance that Oklahoma wins this weekend, because you got to go out, and it's the same thing we've been saying. I've been saying for 3 or 4 weeks now is, you got to do the job in front of you. Okay. So it is play integrity, play with lane integrity on defense, communicate, have the conversations. Everybody on the backside's got to play the same defense. You can't have, one person playing, a zone coverage and one person thinking they're in man. You got to have that cleaned up. So I want to see those things cleaned up on the defensive side of the ball, but on offense, listen, man, they still have a couple of athletes. They've got a pretty decent defensive end who, if you don't have sound mechanics and you don't line up right and you mess something up, he can still get back there. And these are still athletes. Listen, man, I played some D2 schools in baseball, and there was nothing. I mean, it's just they have one less tool, or, instead of a 4-4, they run a 4-6. So these guys, they're going to have some belief, but Yeah, it is time for tough conversations because where, I say the wide receiver injuries are, were damning for the whole entire season. You just gotta kind of think about this. PG is what is what does your mind space look like if you're still not creating separation and getting snaps and making a difference? How do you feel as watching a walk-on freshman wide receiver is out making plays, and he's got now more catches in 2 games than most of the receivers on the team do?
Now, in all fairness, though, Jacob Jordan was a 3-star out of high school and comes from a very good high school in wide receiver development. Like, he could have went to other schools. So in fairness, like, he's a PWO, but that kid ain't no PWO.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's going to be the same. Next year we're going to have a couple of other guys, that we're going to be looking at. But I maintain is like if you are a guy like Jaquez Petaway, like what's your headspace look like? Because I mean you've been on the team for a couple years now. You've got your opportunities, but also as I do have to say this is there's been times the wide receiver been running around wide open, and there's been no chance for them to get the ball because of poor offensive line play or just being completely missed by the quarterback. So, like I said, it's a get right game. And you hope that if you play this game and get some confidence and see some success, that maybe, that sets you up feeling pretty good. Because I promise you, Missouri looks like the only easy are the easiest opportunity to get your 6th win, left on the schedule.
Yeah, which is crazy. I don't know if you've seen this stat. Luther Burden only has 3 receptions for 3 yards in the last couple games. Missouri is not well. Missouri fans are not like their offense might be just as poor as ours right now. That's saying a lot. But I mean, I'm looking at this game, right? Because this is, I think, the telling game to find out what you have on this team. And I do think, Brent Venables talked about how we're going to potentially see Isaiah Autry. This is a game where the offensive line should not struggle in protecting Jackson Arnold. Like, you should not give up probably more than a sack in this game, even if you play a lot of your freshmen and true freshman offensive linemen, which hopefully that allows Jackson Arnold time to be able to see receivers down the field. Like, I want to be able to see what we thought we should have saw at the beginning of the season. Jackson Arnold comes in for a half, and then you see Michael Hawkins kind of step in for the second half. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see this offense do. And it's not out of the realm of expectations. The biggest thing is, like you said, you need the offensive line to block, and you need those wide receivers to create separation. And I'm not looking at the Brennan Thompsons of the world who have gotten that separation, have been open. I'm looking at the unprovens, the Jaquez Petaways, who we were really excited to go out there and get. A guy that picked Texas or Oklahoma over Texas. A JJ Hester, a guy that we came into the season going, he gives you the size. This guy is going to be someone that we potentially need to watch, like a Jaden Gibson last year, and he just hasn't been able to catch the ball. He's gotten opportunities. He can't bring it in. So, this is an opportunity for a lot of these players to reset expectations, get in the right mindset. You're going to be heading into the last 3 games of the season, and I have said this multiple times. These next 3 games are very winnable for Oklahoma. Alabama is not a good football team either. They're not. They have struggled all season. They are not disciplined. They make the same mistakes Ole Miss does. And that was a very winnable game last week. And I hate to keep saying, OU's losing winnable games. So they could go out there and win 2 more games and lose to LSU. And then you're looking at the season going, that was pretty successful. So this is a game where a lot of guys get to prove themselves and potentially earn themselves a spot on the team next year. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. And, I'm pretty happy about, maybe this year ends up being, when it's all said and done, I would rather, see 10-2 like I called at the beginning of the year. But, maybe this year with the injuries, it maybe uncovered a lot of stuff, and, potentially it's a blessing in disguise that we see, the incompetency that we saw on offense, weed out some guys, get some younger guys some playing time. Because, here's the thing is I think that if we didn't have those wide receiver injuries, would this team still be struggling on offense, and would we see it again next year? And so I'm just thinking that, maybe it's a good opportunity for us to kind of reset and do the right thing with the offensive coordinator going into the next season. But I'm excited also. I want to see some of the younger guys. Now you're halfway through the season. You've been on campus for 6 or 7 months. So, do we get to see Danny Okoye? Do we get to see Nigel out there? How's this going to look? I think that we're going to get to see a lot of Hardy, Boganowski, and Powers. Boganowski has been playing meaningful steps, and Powers, is a few weeks off injury. Michael Patterson McDonald, there's a lot of guys. Maybe see Ivan Carrion get some run out there. Those are the things that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, and those are the things most OU fans are excited about.